Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello.
I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Prestige Living Podcast. So with that, who do you want to be?
Hello, welcome to Prestige Living, your local podcast that delivers the content you want from the entrepreneurs right here in Orange County. I'm your host, Jay O'Brien, here with your co-hosts, Jordan Wilson.
Yes, you are.
And a brand new one,
yes.
Josh Alexander.
Hello, hello, hello.
Today, our guest comes from the animal lover's world, originally starting a pet sitting business 14 years ago as her entry to the field, and then later created Pet Sitter University through her company Animal Amour, teaching others how to run a similar operation in their respective communities. And without further ado, I give you the founder, Joni Oldfield. Joni, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today. So we're very curious. This is a niche market, the animal world. So 14 years ago, you started the pet sitting business. How does that come about?
Needing a pet sitter, actually.
Okay, so how do you identify the need? I mean, even 14 years ago, the channels of distribution for marketing are going to be different,
right,
and understanding those needs will be different. So is it something where you were hearing from a lot of people, hey, this needs to happen, or were you just thinking, hey, you probably need this to happen?
No, what happened was my husband and I had a full-time job, both of us, and so we decided to go on a cruise, and I needed someone to take care of my pets. I had 3 cats at the time, and so I started calling my vet and asking neighbors and that sort of thing, you know, what do you do? And they said, well, actually my neighbor said to me, she has a college student who takes care of her animals. And so I took her number, and then I thought, I'll call my vet and see if there's someone like a tech or something that would want to take care of animals.
Sure.
And so there were a couple of pet sitters, and I had 3 of them into my home, plus the college student, but there wasn't anybody I felt comfortable with to hand over the key to my house and my furry babies to.
Right.
So the light bulb went off, and I just thought, oh, there's a niche out there, exactly what you said, and this is something that's needed. So I'm just going to try my hand at it and see. So I actually went to work for a vet, and I worked there for a little while and started the business, and within 4 months I was almost full-time.
And this isn't the first time that we've had somebody on the show, and I think even you, Jay, yourself, it's like you have an experience or you have a need and you see what's out there and you go, I can do this better, or I need to do this better than what I'm seeing, and you create the opportunity for yourself.
Absolutely. It's why I got into real estate.
That's what I was referring to.
There's the plug.
There's the plug.
So you were saying that you don't feel comfortable necessarily handing someone the keys to your home because, number one, they're in your property, and then number 2 is that, of course, your animals are like
your babies,
your children, you know? So when you say you start the solution, so to speak, and you start working at a vet's office. So does that mean the solution is when people need a pet sitter, they go to this central location, the vet's office, and drop off the animal?
No, but people do that. They do kennel at vets, but I wanted to have someone into my home. I didn't want to transport my pets. I didn't want them in a strange environment. I wanted them at home in their own environment and their own sounds, you know, and everything, so they'd be more comfortable and less stressed.
Right. So when you captured the business, was it people that were going to the vet that said, oh, hey, we need this sort of pet sitting at our home, and that's how you captured it?
Not really. I just started from scratch. I made a website. That's what I did. I worked in the IT department and for a large CPA firm, and so I just thought, like you said, I can do this better, and obviously there's a need for it out there, and so that's what I did. I just started the website, word of mouth, that sort of thing, and it grew leaps and bounds. But I went to the vet office part-time to make sure that I knew what I was getting into, that I could work with large dogs and that I could be around them, that
I
sort
see.
of thing.
So it was more of just like your own training.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And research.
So once people started to hear about this pet sitting business that you had, they would just call you and say, hey, I'm going on vacation. So when that would happen, say I'm going to go on vacation, and let's go back 14 years. Say I'm going to go on vacation for a week, and I called you and said, hey, I've got this English Bulldog, and I'm leaving my house for a week. And what do I get and how much does it cost? Do you come in once a day, twice a day?
Yes, I always talk to people about that, and I get a lot of information over the phone, and I ask them all about their pets, and dogs are normally twice a day, so unless they have a doggy door or something else, but I like to come in at least twice a day for a dog, morning and night.
Okay.
And then it depends on if they're in a crate, so I find out all that information over the phone, and then I do a free consultation. So I set up a time to go out and meet with them, and it takes about a half hour, 20 minutes. We walk through the house, I take notes, they fill out a contract, I bring them all sorts of information, a packet, and we go through everything, and they show me where everything is and how they want it done.
So that's probably also a good time for you to be introduced to the animal with the
Absolutely.
owner being there for the first time.
Yes, they get to meet us. I usually bring myself and one other person so that they get an idea of who we are and how we work. And then I meet with them and I find out who they are and their animals and how the interaction goes. And
interesting. Okay, so when you do that and you come in morning or night, and then you're gone for a week, 14 years ago, for example, what would something like that cost?
Oh gosh, I think I started cats at around $12 to $15, and dogs were somewhere around the $20 mark.
Now, with that initial pricing, did you look to the industry around you for a kind of a guide on how to price your services? And has that, yeah, that's my question.
A little bit, I did. I tried to do a little bit. There wasn't a lot of pet sitting going on 14 years ago, so it was a little bit hard. But I thought, what is my time worth, and what do I want to do this for? And it's hard because I love it. And
you feel guilty charging people money?
I just absolutely love it. But turning it into a business and hiring people, you have to think business-wise, too.
Right.
So you have to be the friend and confidant of this person, but you also have to run your business.
Right. So. Was that movie in the Joker? Doesn't he go like, if you're good at something, never do it for free?
In the Joker,
the Batman movie with the Joker.
Who you got to know your audience, Jordan. I've never seen any of those movies.
Josh, you look like you were chomping at the bit over there.
Yeah. So one of the big things I hear a lot with dog owners is they kind of have the option if they go out of town to take them to a dog daycare facility. Other dogs, they're running around, that type of thing, or they have your option where they're at home with the dog. I just want to kind of get your opinion on why do you think, or what type of animal will be best suited for your type of business versus like a dog daycare?
Wow. It's really it's so personal for the person. Like you with your dog, do you want your dog to be in a kennel? Do you feel comfortable with that? You know his personality. Is he going to be okay with that? And how is he in those situations? I think most times they're better off at home. That's my opinion, and that's why I do this. Working at the vet really brought that to light, too, because a lot of people would bring in their little dachshund and hand it to me and say, I'm going on vacation, and so is Molly. Well, I knew that wasn't true. Molly was going to shake in the corner of the cage, and I felt so bad.
Yeah.
So it reinforced my idea that this is needed.
I'm sure it gives the pet owners peace of mind, also knowing that they're at home,
Absolutely.
You don't know what they're being exposed to or whatever.
And we take it very seriously because you're not only looking after the pet, you're looking after their home. You're bringing in the mail and packages, and it looks like someone is there, and you're locking it every day. And we send them pictures, and a lot of people have drop cams now, not 14 years ago, but they certainly do now. And so there's a lot of communication back and forth, and I don't think you get that in kennels so much.
So a follow-up to that, you kind of touched on it. I know you've branched off into the university, but what differences in the industry as far as pet sitting have you seen? Like in addition to the cameras in the house, and have you offered? That's an awesome service that you said you bring in the mail and you make it look like something.
Plants.
Did all that stuff happen from the beginning, or did you kind of adapt to the demands or the needs of your customers?
Well, there were some customers who would ask you, "Will you water these plants?
Right.
Will you do this?" And yes, we are a full service company, so we try to do overnights, late night tuck-ins, as many visits a day as they want. Some people want 3 and 4 visits a day, and other people want 1 visit a day. And some cat owners, actually, since we brought this up, want to have like once a week or twice a week visits for their cats, or every other day minimum, and we will not do that. I set a policy where we have to see the cat every 24 hours.
Okay.
And the reason being is because when I first started the business, I thought, well, it's a cat. Maybe we could do it every other day. So I said yes to a couple of people, and it just so happened that we walked into this one cat where she was hanging on a dress in the closet twirling.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Typical cat.
Still, I know, they get into trouble. Yeah. She was still alive and everything, but it's like, you don't want to have her go 48 hours like that.
Yeah.
And so there were certain situations, and I thought, I don't want to put myself through this. I don't want the girls that work for me to go through that. So I just said, no, we have to do it once a day. Or you'll find a pet sitter who will do it, but we don't.
Right. I was going to ask, because from a liability standpoint, it could be like, well, hey, this happened. Maybe something horrible did happen, and it happened on your watch because you were watching the cat. And it's like, well, no, that happened, on day 4, and you only let me go on day 1 and 7.
Right. Yeah. It's just a lot, and I don't want to have to worry about that, so I'm not going to do that.
So when you were saying that it's, back 14 years ago, say $20 for a dog, is that $20 a day or $20 per visit?
I charge per visit.
Right, because you're driving there each time.
Right, exactly. And you never know where you're coming from, and that's another thing I stress, is to keep the territory very small. And people want to expand. They want to go from Costa Mesa to Mission Viejo, and I don't suggest that. You want Irvine, like my territory is Irvine, Costa Mesa, and Newport Beach, and that's it, and that's enough.
Right, yeah, because otherwise I'd imagine it'd be very geographically challenging. It's like, you're just going to be driving around all day.
Well, yeah, and like the other day, I was actually in Irvine when a girl who was doing overnight called me with an emergency situation, and so I always like to go, and I ran right from where I was and went right to her, and it took me a half hour in traffic.
What is an emergency situation?
Well, I mean, it can be anything, but this particular dog was hypoglycemic, but I didn't know that the dog was presenting like seizures.
Okay.
And so we thought that's what it was. But when she first woke up, the dog was sleeping with her. She said she woke up because the dog was kind of shaking. So she called me and said she just, she's okay, but she's just not right. And so, I know my girls, and I know when they're worried about it, and we know our animals. And so I said, I'll be right there. So I ran off and went there, and as soon as I saw her, by the time I got to her, she was kind of moving to the right and showing signs like a seizure. So I just took her right into the vet, and, they found out her glucose was very low, and so it just went on for testing from there. But 3 times on the way to the vet, she almost went into a coma.
Wow, so you're authorized on behalf of the owner to make decisions at the vet's office.
Absolutely, and it's in my contract.
Got it.
To do that.
So I know, again, things have probably changed since things started with your company, but nowadays when you go visit pets and stuff, do you ever send photos back to the owners or anything? Yeah. I know when I have an English Bulldog, and I also like to go on vacation as often as possible. And Jordan has been friendly enough to watch Carl. That's my English Bulldog's name, and he'll send me.
In Carl we trust on Instagram.
Yeah, he'll send me videos and photos, and while I'm gone, that makes you feel very connected to your pet. So is that one of the services that's included?
Yeah, especially now with smartphones and everything. We do that all the time. We send pictures and videos, and they also tune into my Instagram and Facebook, and a lot of my clients are friends on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
I'm just taking pictures of Carl, show you what good of a friend I am, so hopefully you take me on vacation with you next time you go.
Yeah, I mean, you can continue hoping all you want, but then no one would watch Carl.
Except for our new guest, who we can hire to...
okay, so you're in for Iceland. You're in for Iceland in March. Now, Joni, have you ever been attacked by a dog?
I had an older dog who, thank goodness, the only time I've really been, anyway, this older dog did bite me, but the teeth were so old and rounded that it went right off my hand. So I've never broken skin with a bite. I had a little Yorkie, when I turned around, jumped up and got me in the back of the calf of my leg, which left a bruise. but that's the only time.
Okay, so
But
no
again,
aggressive animals.
No aggressive, because we don't take aggressive animals.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
What do you filter? Is there like
That's
a breed restriction that you do, or
No.
just you monitor the behavior and if they exhibit signs?
That's what the consultation is for.
Got it.
So I look for signs of domination, like they'll lay on you, and how are they when you enter the home. And they're different when mom's home, mom or dad's home, than when you go alone too. So yes, you do have to take all that into consideration. Sure. And there has been times when I've gone out on a consultation and said, I'm not comfortable with this, so I'm not going to be able to do it for you. And, I apologize, and I can refer other pet sitters that I know are good with that sort of situation, but
interesting.
I just don't want to walk into that. And I have had where we've taken care of, say, a lab was this one, and his girlfriend had a dog there just temporarily. And so he called me up and he said, the lab is barking, my neighbors called, can you run over there and check? And I said, yes, I will. So I went in and he said, there's another dog in there. And I said, is the dog okay with me coming in, not knowing me? I've never met the dog. He said, oh yeah, sure, it is. Well, it was a pit bull. And the way it was, I had to go through the garage, through the little door, and then you were right in the kitchen. And as I walked in the kitchen, the dog came around the counter and, just was all full on attack. So I walked over to the sink and turned on the water. Just like a household noise made me think it might relax, and he did. He kind of backed off and looked like, oh, you maybe belong here.
Yeah, you've been
So
here
I
before.
ran the water for, I can't even tell you. It could have been 10 minutes until the dog got tired and was like, and kind of walked away, and then I backed through the little door and locked it and walked out. And then I called him and told him, what were you thinking?
Yeah. Geez, that's kind of scary.
So you're saying that you have employees now, right?
They're actually independent contractors.
Okay.
But yes.
So when you went from, a lot of entrepreneurs, especially when they start their own business, have a hard time kind of giving up that control. When you go from going just by yourself all the way to having just that first employee. How did you kind of make that transition and trying to give up that control?
It's every emotion you can think of, because it's really me. Animal Amour is me, and so it's very difficult. And then you love this animal that you've been taking care of, and now I'm gonna give it to Krista to take care of, and I'm like,
Sorry, Krista.
Yeah, shout out to Krista.
Well, Krista was my very first. She doesn't work for me anymore, but she was my very first, and it was really difficult. And I think she knew, and we talked about it, and I did it with her, and so it's a big transition to do that. And now what I do when I hire is I put them through about a week's training, I would say. I take them on several visits with me, unpaid. Okay. And the reason why I do that is because if they'll stick with me through that, then I know that they're dedicated and they love animals, and I watch their interactions. But even after 14 years and 7 girls that are with me now and have been with me for years, I'm very, very lucky to have a great staff around me that's better than I am now. But I still check up on them, and I tell them that too, so they never know when I'm going to be parked down the street. They never know when I'm going to come in after a job and check and see what they did. And I do it for me, I just feel really better. And like I said, I've got a great staff, so I feel so confident. I trust them with my life and my babies.
So let's get into a little bit about the university side. So when did that idea come about, and how did you start rolling that out?
Okay. Sometime around maybe 2007 or something, people started calling me and asking me, can I ask you a little bit about how you got started and what happened? And they started picking my brain, and so I'd have them, meet with them at Starbucks or whatever and start talking to them about it. And then they'd say, do you have like a package or something I could buy? Can I get those forms from you? We have work orders and new client forms and all the things to run the office with. And so anyway, I just kind of, again, the idea went off in my head, and I just thought, you know what? Maybe I should sit down and kind of draw this out and figure out a good package for somebody like me so they don't have to reinvent the wheel. Right. And I have a very successful business, so I feel confident that I can train them and have them, if they put their work into it, they can have a successful business too.
And they'll call it something different.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's not like a franchise.
It's not a franchise at all. I thought about doing that, but I just don't want to get into the franchise business. It's just not for me.
Got it.
But I do want to have a great community of pet sitters out there that are professional and reliable and compassionate. I don't want hobbyists out there doing it, for $10 and then they go, oh, I didn't show up and, this happened, or you hear all kinds of terrible things. So I really would like to have a strong community of professional pet sitters.
Right. So when you do the university side now, and how are you marketing for that? Is that word of mouth still?
It's still word of mouth. It's pets. It's the website. It's my pet sitting website, and I have a separate website for the Pet Sitter University. I do meetups and meet with people and answer their questions and help them, whether they join or not. I still want to try and help these girls and get them going. I'm still learning how to market that.
So if I find the pet sitting website, for example, and I'm interested in the university because I want to replicate my own, right, in a different city or something like that, what does the package look like? Are these classes I'm going to, or is it mostly online content? Is it physical stuff, or online training, or how is it?
Well, that's what differentiates me from other people. You can find other CDs and DVDs and all these different people online. But what I like to do is you get me. And what I did was I put together a package that's called Take the Step. And it's everything you need from scratch. And if I can meet with you, I will. I'll go to you, you can come to me. So most of those people are local, although I did start one lady in Texas. And so we did everything via Skype or FaceTime, so I can do that too. But I do have right now just a few packages on the website, but it's growing. And I also have a pet sitter search on the website, so that they can type in a zip code and it'll bring up a pet sitter in your area.
So what happens if someone says, I want to start this up, but I want to start it in Costa Mesa, Irvine, Newport Beach? And then you're like, hey, you're cannibalizing my stuff, man.
I don't feel that way because I know there's enough pets to go around. 14 years ago, there was maybe 1 in 3, in one pet for every 3 houses. But now, it's almost every house. And I really haven't run into, there's competition out there, but I really am not worried about the competition. I'm more worried about having the professional people out there. I think that's what we need to
concentrate. You're really passionate about the solution.
That's refreshing,
Yeah, not so much the business side of things.
And I talked to one of your clients the other day.
Mm-hmm. So she's in my territory.
Yeah, so exactly. So she runs out of Costa Mesa too, and she loves you and can't say enough good things about you. So
it's so great.
It's nice to see that.
I love it. It's a
great There's plenty of business to go around.
Oh, to see her succeed like that is just, when these girls actually do what I tell them and they really succeed, it's the most wonderful feeling in the world. And I also have people who call me all the time that are not in my territory. And I can say, hey, I can give that to Lori because I know she can handle it. Or I can give it to Christine in Lake Forest because I know she can handle it. So it's a great feeling to have that community.
Absolutely. So what's next for Animal Amour?
Well, Animal Amour is doing really well. I'm very proud of it. It's my baby that's grown up into, I don't know, maybe a teenager, junior high teenager. Feel really good about that. So I think that that's going to do well and keep going. But Pet Sitter University is what's next. So I'd really like to do that more and really see that succeed.
That's great.
Do you foresee a challenge delegating the pet sitting business to somebody? If you want to focus more on the university, are you going to have to delegate more of the responsibilities for the...
Well, right now I do have a girl who, they are pet sitting for me, but they also are freelancing too. So one of them handles the schedule. I still oversee everything. I haven't let go. Eventually I do see myself, letting go a little more, but I always want to have my hand in it, I think, for as long as I can anyway. But she oversees the schedule, and we both work on the schedule together, but having another set of eyes on it is always a good thing. And then I have a gal who helps me with my blog and newsletters and that sort of thing, so she comes in and does that as well.
Sure.
That's awesome. You got anything else, Josh, on your end?
So it sounds like from what you're saying so far, you're pretty good at delegating tasks and keeping the business going, which, again, a lot of people starting up have a hard time doing because they want that control. They want to be able to make sure everything's perfect.
Yeah, it's not easy, but you have to do it if you want to grow. And I love change. Most people don't like change, but I do like change. So it's fun to see how it's evolved and evolving.
So are you hiring people specifically for those tasks, or are you kind of hiring first as pet sitters, and then as you get to know them, you're kind of delegating different tasks to them and giving them more responsibility?
Well, just recently I did do that, where normally I just hired them for pet sitting and nothing else. But recently I did hire, and when I interviewed her, I said, this is the job, and I said, you may be really, really good at pet sitting and maybe not so good in the office, or you might be good at both. Well, it ends up that she's really good with the schedule, so I see their strengths, and that's where I put them. So if they want to, and of course they have to want to.
That's the key to the whole thing.
Yeah.
One last question from me.
Yeah.
What's the craziest story that you've had from pet sitting over these 14 years? Either yourself or one of your employees that had to deal with it.
Well, we pet sit for hotels, so I think it's probably the funniest, craziest thing that ever happened was we get a lot of people who come in on vacation. We get a lot of movie stars. We get people who are having something done and they don't want anybody to know who they are. And they come into the hotel. But this one time, we got a call to take care of this little dog. So I wrote everything up, and then we go, it's not like a normal consultation at someone's residence. So we go to the hotel and we wait to meet that client and either go up to the room or the concierge. So we're waiting, and this big limo pulls up. And the limo driver gets out and he opens up the back door, and there's just the little dog in a Gucci bag.
Oh my God.
There's our client, no human, just the dog.
Can you see Carl riding in style like that?
It was Carl. It was Carl, guys. That's crazy. Well, okay, so for the people listening, let's first go with the people who actually need their pet taken care of, so the pet sitting. Where can they visit you online and get in contact with you?
Okay, at animalamour.com.
Okay, animalamour.com.
And I actually own AMOUR and AMORE. So you can be Italian or French.
Covering all languages.
Love that. Okay. And then for the people that are interested in actually doing this and starting this business on their own but need guidance, where should they go?
AnimalamourPSU.com.
PSU.com.
Which stands for Pet Sitter University.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Joni. This has been awesome. I'm learning a lot about the pet sitting world, and maybe we will call you for Carl so Jordan can go on vacation with me. Thanks, Joni.
Thank you, Joni.
Thank you.
Or know someone that would be a great guest, go to www.prestigecast.com. We'd love to hear your story.